Okay, be honest with me for a second. It's 2 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling, and your brain has decided that right now, out of all possible moments, is the perfect time to revisit something embarrassing you said in 7th grade. We've all been there, right? That's not a bug. That's a feature. And the most psychologically aware people you'll ever meet are usually the ones most trapped inside their own heads. Not because they're weak, because their brains are running a program they never chose to install. And the uninstall button is missing. Here's what most people get wrong about overthinking. We treat it like a bad habit, something to snap out of, something to fix with a 5-minute meditation app. Just take 3 deep breaths. Sure, that'll undo 20 years of nervous system conditioning. But here's the part nobody tells you. Overthinking isn't a character flaw. It's a survival adaptation. And until you understand why your brain does this, like really understand it, every just stop worrying tip you've ever read will fail you. Every single time. So let's actually look at the research. Psychologist Dr. Susan Nolan Hoeksema at Yale University spent over 2 decades studying overthinking. She called it ruminative thinking, a cognitive loop where the brain cycles through the same thoughts without ever reaching resolution. And what she found is kind of uncomfortable. People who overthink aren't thinking more effectively. They're stuck in a processing error. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision making, is trying to protect you, but it's working overtime on a threat that may not even exist. The result? A mind that feels like a browser with 50 tabs open, none of them loading. And somewhere, one of them is playing music. You don't know which one. You know exactly what I mean. Reason 1. Your brain confuses thinking with doing. Be honest. You've already had that difficult conversation 12 times in your head. You still haven't had it out loud. Research from the University of Michigan found that rumination activates the same neural pathways as active problem solving. So your brain can't always tell the difference. You feel like you're working on the problem. You're spinning the wheel. The hamster is exhausted. We've all been that hamster. Reason 2. You grew up in an unpredictable environment. You can read a room in 3 seconds, can't you? You can tell when someone's mood has shifted from across a parking lot. You always know who's about to bring up something tense at dinner. And it feels like intuition, like a superpower almost. It's not. It's training. When your environment could change without warning, a parent's mood, a sudden conflict, a financial scare, your nervous system learned to scan constantly. Psychologists call this hypervigilance. You became an excellent threat detector. Your brain just never got the memo that the threat is gone now. Reason 3. You're addicted to certainty. Here's one that gets a little dark. Neuroscientist Archie de Burker at University College London found something that would be funny if it weren't so painful. Uncertainty activates the brain's threat response more intensely than knowing something bad is definitely going to happen. Read that again. Your brain would rather confirm a disaster than sit in "we'll see." That's why you'd rather get the rejection email than wait for it. That's why you reread the message twice, looking for clues. Be honest. You've done this. We all have. Overthinking is your mind's attempt to manufacture certainty in a world that refuses to provide it. Reason 4. Your amygdala is working harder than it should. Okay, picture this. Someone takes 4 hours to reply to your text. By hour 2, you've drafted 3 theories about what you might have said wrong. Right? Just me? The amygdala, your brain's threat detector, is supposed to activate in response to actual danger. In chronic overthinkers, it's oversensitive. A pause in someone's voice, a message left on read, a vague, "we need to talk." Each one triggers a low-grade fear response, and your mind rushes to analyze its way out of the discomfort. Your nervous system, doing its best, is treating a delayed text the same way it would treat a tiger. And we know it's irrational. We know. But the chemicals don't care what we know. Reason 5. You mistake worst-case scenario planning for wisdom. You're not catastrophizing. You're preparing. That's what we tell ourselves at 2 a.m. while running through every possible way Tuesday could go badly. But Dr. Nolan Hexma's research is clear. People who ruminate don't make better decisions. They make slower ones. And they're often less satisfied with the outcome because they've already imagined 100 ways it could go wrong before it had a chance to go right. It's a strange kind of trap, isn't it? Trying to protect ourselves from a future that hasn't happened yet. Notice what just happened. Every reason on this list has one thing in common. None of them are about weakness. Not one. Every single one is about a brain that learned, somewhere along the way, that thinking more was the safest way to stay alive. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. Stay with me. Reason 6. Your default mode network is always on. You ever sit down to relax, and within 30 seconds, your brain schedules an unprompted meeting with itself about something embarrassing that happened in 2014? Yeah, that. When your brain has nothing specific to focus on, it doesn't go quiet. It activates the default mode network, a system linked to self-referential thinking, memory replay, and future simulation. In overthinkers, this network is chronically overactive. Even rest isn't restful. Your mind narrates, replays, anticipates, on a loop, the moment you stop being busy. Doing nothing is the most exhausting thing we do. Strange, isn't it? Reason 7. You've been rewarded for thinking ahead. Here's something that might land hard. Somewhere along the way, your overthinking paid off. You caught something everyone else missed. You avoided a mistake. You saw the disaster before it landed. And your brain filed that away. Thinking more equals staying safe. Psychologist Albert Bandura called this reinforcement of cognitive behavior. The pattern that once protected you doesn't disappear just because you want it to. It's been on the payroll for 20 years. You can't fire it with a meditation app. We don't outgrow what kept us alive. We have to make peace with it. Reason 8. You're running from a feeling, not solving a problem. This one's hard, so just sit with it for a second. A lot of what looks like thinking is actually avoidance. The mind locks onto a problem, not to solve it, but to avoid sitting with whatever's underneath it. As long as you're analyzing, you're not feeling. As long as you're spinning, you're not still enough for anything to land. For many overthinkers, the mind is the only safe place we've ever known, which is the bittersweet part. Because the mind is also where the noise lives. Reason 9. You've internalized other people's anxiety. Here's the part that's hard to hear, so I'll say it gently. If you grew up around someone chronically worried, you didn't just observe their anxiety, you absorbed it. Research on emotional contagion at the University of California found that we unconsciously mirror the nervous system states of the people closest to us. Their hypervigilance became your baseline. Their worry became the voice in your head. And here's the part nobody warned you about. That voice still sounds like yours. You've been carrying someone else's anxiety for so long, you stop being able to tell where they end and you begin. That's not your fault. That was never your fault. Reason 10. Your identity is built around being the one who thinks things through. This is the deepest layer. So let's go there together. For many overthinkers, the pattern isn't just a habit, it's a self-concept. You're the careful one, the one who sees what others don't, the one who notices. And here's the question that might land hard. If you stop being the one who thinks everything through, then who are you? Viktor Frankl wrote that humans don't just seek pleasure, they seek meaning. And if your meaning is tied to how thoroughly you process the world, your brain will protect that pattern at all costs, even when it's hurting you, especially when it's hurting you. So here's what all of this tells us. You didn't choose to overthink. None of us did. We were shaped into it by our environments, by our nervous systems, by the people who raised us, and by brains that learned that thinking more was the safest way to exist in an unpredictable world. The goal isn't to stop thinking. It's to understand that the thought loop running in your head right now, the one analyzing this video, the one already wondering if this applies to you, the one quietly noting that you should probably take notes, that loop has been trying to protect you your whole life. And maybe that's the most important thing about all of this. The part of you that can't stop thinking, it was never broken. It was just never given permission to rest. Tonight, when your brain pulls up that one conversation from 7th grade for the 400th review, maybe it's not trying to torture you. Maybe it's the only thing it ever learned how to do. Maybe it's been waiting all this time to be understood, not silenced. It was never the enemy. It's just the bodyguard who never got told the war is over. So tell me, which one hit hardest? Drop it in the comments. I read all of them. Was it reason 8, the running from a feeling? Was it reason 10, the part about identity? And if you found one tiny thing that helps when the loop starts spinning at 2 a.m., share it. Someone reading this needs to hear it tonight. We're all in this together, quietly, at 2 a.m., still staring at our ceilings. You're not alone in this. Before you go, quick thing. Next week, we're going somewhere uncomfortable. The kind of uncomfortable that hits at 2 a.m., 3 months into something new, when you realize this person feels strangely familiar. 10 reasons you can't stop attracting narcissists. Not bad luck, not low standards, something your nervous system was trained to recognize as home a long time before you knew how to read. If you've ever said never again and meant it, and somehow ended up here anyway, that one's for you. Subscribe so it shows up. Maybe turn the bell on. We'll meet back here next week.